First with the latest news every 30 minutes. News Talk KVNU, your number one radio station for news and talk.
KVNU News Time is 5:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update. Those interested in the Bear Lake Marina expansion should be aware of a public comment period going on now until next Friday, November 17th. There is an updated visualization construction schedule and process details to be shared at a public meeting that will be held on Tuesday, November 14th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That meeting will be held at 69 North Paradise Parkway in Garden City, Building A, in the Lakeview Room. The meeting was organized by the Marina Expansion Team as part of the permit filing process. A petition has been filed by the Utah Division of State Parks for a state sovereign lands general permit with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands for the Bear Lake Marina Expansion Project. The site-specific plan was published, and people can comment by contacting BearLakeMarinaExpansion.com or Rowdy Jensen at Bear River Area Sovereign Lands Coordinator, 1780 North Research Parkway, Suite 104, North Logan, 84341. KVNU News Time is 5:04. KVNU weather becoming mostly clear later on tonight. Low temperature in the mid-20s, and then sunny tomorrow, Veterans Day, high in the low 50s, around 50, 51 degrees. Sunday, even better, upper 50s for the high. It's been to 47. Right now it's 39 at KVNU. Be sure to check out the new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in beautiful Montpelier. Friendly staff, great service, fresh inventory, and all the values you expect from a small town. The new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Montpelier with warranty forever. KVNU News Time is 5:05. Representative John Curtis, Republican from Utah, said Thursday he is reconsidering his decision not to run for the U.S. Senate. Curtis announced in October that he would remain in the House of Representatives and not run to replace Senator Mitt Romney after he leaves office in January 2025. Just a few days earlier, Curtis had been widely expected to jump into the race after Romney said he would not seek a second term. But just weeks after deciding to run, things have apparently changed. Curtis said in a statement that the drumbeat from Utahns around the state asking him to reconsider his decision last month to stay out of the Senate race has been constant and consistent. He said these voices, getting louder and more organized, are increasingly difficult to ignore. He said because so many Utahns have asked him to, he's taking a fresh look, and as part of that evaluation, he's considering not only what is best for him and his family, but what's best for his current district and for the state of Utah. He says he's counseling with friends, supporters, and his team. He said that he's proud of the results that he's delivered for Utah during his 6 years in the House, and he needs to think about where he can be most effective. If the congressman gets into the race for Senate, he would join a Republican field that's becoming more crowded as of late. Candidates include Utah House Speaker Brad Wilson, Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs, Roosevelt Mayor Ron Byrd, former legislative candidate Carolyn Piffin, conservative activist Ty Jensen, and certified public accountant Josh Randall. Romney said in September he will not run for re-election, citing a desire for a new generation of leaders to take over. He also bemoaned the state of the Republican Party in a new biography written by BYU graduate McKay Coppins. And an all clear was given by officials after the emergency room and surrounding area of the Salt Lake VA hospital were evacuated and locked down due to reports of a bomb threat. Veterans Affairs spokesperson Jeremy Laird confirmed VA police and officers from the Salt Lake City Police Department responded to the George E. Wallen Department of Veterans Affairs Medical Center Thursday afternoon. Details about the exact nature of the threat were not available. Laird said their main concern was the safety of veterans, visitors, and staff. Canine units from the University of Utah and Unified Police conducted sweeps of the main medical center buildings. KVNU News Time is 5:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
UNI is back from market with more furniture than ever. UNI purchased 2 big trailer loads from Best Brand Furniture. It's in the store now. Sectionals, sofa and loves, reclining and stationary, accent chairs, lift chairs, recliners, and ottomans. Purchase any of these bargain sectionals of sofa loves, and UNI will give you $100 off on the purchase of a chair to go with it. And UNI has lots of closeout bargains on the floor at hundreds of dollars less than you'll find anywhere out there. There's always a better buy at UNI. 6 months interest-free financing OAC is available too. UNI Furniture for over 90 years in downtown Logan.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. We have some super exciting news. We're thrilled to announce our brand new store in Tooele. We have been hoping to expand to Tooele for years and finally found the perfect spot. In the heart of the city, Alpine is located just north of Walmart off Main Street. This store will be just like our others. We offer massive selection of home medical supplies. Do you need a CPAP? We've got it. Power scooter? Yep, you're in the right place. Need assistance in your home? We'll get you all set up. Keep your expectations high. We really do have the best staff in the state. You should know we accept most major insurances and can work directly with your provider to get you the care you need. We'll be ready when you need us, so come on by anytime. We're excited to see you in Tooele.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
That's alpinehomemedical.com.
What if we told you the next 3 times you fill your tank, you could save money? Well, at Chevron, it's true. You can get $1 off per gallon on your next 3 visits when you download the Chevron app and join Chevron Rewards. Earn points on every fuel transaction and qualifying in-store purchases at any Cache Valley Chevron station. Doesn't it feel great to get rewarded for being you? Download the app and join to get started today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit any Cache Valley Chevron station for details or go to ChevronTexacalRewards.com.
This is Mark Anderson. Come celebrate a white Christmas with Anderson Seed and Garden. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Come celebrate white Christmas with Anderson Seed and Garden. We are potentially giving away $40,000 in merchandise for the first 50 people who spend $500 or more on holiday and Christmas decor between now and November 24th. If it snows at least 4 inches on Christmas Day and you made a qualifying purchase, your purchase is free. But you only have until November 24th to qualify. Only at Anderson Seed and Garden, Logan. See store for official rules.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006. CNBC News reported Wall Street has purchased hundreds of thousands of single-family homes since the Great Recession. It also reported institutional investors may control 40% of U.S. rental homes by 2030. Have you noticed your neighborhood struggling, converting into short-term rentals and apartments? Logan City Council is considering raising rental home limitations from 3 unrelated residents to 4. What does Joe think?
This is Joe Needham. My platform says no to more rentals in our residential zones. Give me your vote, and let's take back our neighborhoods. More information at votejoeneedham.com.
Growth, traffic, neighborhood character, housing, and infrastructure. Solutions require preparation, collaboration, and a willingness to ask the right questions. Being on the Logan City Council is a job that requires focus and commitment. Elect experience. I am Jeannie Simmons, and I ask for your vote.
Paid for by Jeannie Simmons for the Logan City Council.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Movie Show. with Andy Morgan. Andy Morgan joining us here in just a bit. And I'm going to set this up because we have a lot to talk about. We have a review of the new Marvel movie. Not the newest, or not the only thing this year from Marvel. They've had two different series on premiere on Disney Plus that have gotten mixed reviews. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know Andy and I have talked at length at times, maybe too many times, about Marvel's future after more than a decade of success and really breathing not only new life but probably the most life ever into the whole spandex superhero genre. Marvel just kind of, after the Avengers trilogy or quadrilogy came to an end, Marvel just kind of seemed to be wandering and fizzling and losing their way. And fans were worried, because they'd really enjoyed this. And they felt like resources had not been fully maxed out yet. And yet here was Marvel just kind of, behaving like they didn't know what to do and flopping around. So the trailer comes out for this latest movie, The Marvels. Andy and I discussed it last week. I said bluntly, this trailer makes me think Marvel is done. They're out of ideas, and until a reboot 10 years from now, we won't be seeing a lot from them. That's honestly what the Marvels trailer made me think, because I watched 3 different versions of that trailer a couple times over to see if maybe I was just in a mood that day, and I could not get my reaction above a meh. I mean, it just looked like one of the most uninteresting, not very exciting movies. And I liked the first movie with Miss Marvel in it. So the sequel that's also, like as many of the Avengers movies were, kind of a continuation of a lot of stories in the Marvel Universe. The Marvels trailer I was very underwhelmed. Andy has seen the movie, and I'll just say this for Marvel fans. If you also have been concerned about the future of Marvel and the Marvel franchise, Andy has some really good news for you today. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it, but I want to set this story up because this is something that we don't often get a chance to talk about here on the movie show, being focused more often on the movies that are new in theaters each week, and we will be focused on that. But this is such an interesting story, and it raises some questions about the movie industry and the financing side of the movie industry specifically. That it really, yeah. So here's what happened, and this is, to my count, this is the 3rd time this year that the Warner Brothers has made such an announcement. I'm sorry, 2nd time this year. The other one was in 2022. But what happened this week is Warner Brothers announced that they were scrapping the release of a movie. When this has happened before, I think everyone could kind of say, oh, that must have been a real clunker. It must have been absolutely horrible. What created a controversy around the announcement this week is that test audiences had seen the film. The people involved have a track record of not making clunkers, including James Gunn as a writer. I can't remember the director now, but accomplished director. John Cena was in the movie. And this was basically a Wile E. Coyote, Warner Brothers Wile E. Coyote movie. It was called Coyote versus Acme. And it was done in the style of Roger Rabbit. They said this is not for kids. It's funny, but this isn't a cartoon for kids. This is a serious plot, a serious movie in the style of Roger Rabbit, in the sense that you've got all this live action combined with an animated lead, basically, the coyote. That obviously piqued a lot of interest. People were curious about this. And James Gunn, again, has a track record of not writing clunkers. And then Marvel on Wednesday says, the movie's done, just a little post-production left. We're not going to release it. And so people started asking questions, understandably. Fans were angry. And we can also talk about this, and I'm sure Andy will have something to say about this too, but, maybe there's an element here of that fan entitlement that really is unjustified and annoying. But I believe there are some larger questions here because so people started digging, and what they found is that Marvel, or Warner Brothers rather, has an option which they've taken advantage of in the past to claim this is a business loss, which would result, someone crunched the numbers, that would result in a $30 million tax break. And so the theory that is developed quickly online after this news on Wednesday is that Warner Brothers, with a potential pending sale of Warner Brothers to Apple, Apple's looking into getting into the business of challenging Disney Plus before Disney owns everything, which is probably a good idea. There's got to be at least one competitor, right? And I guess they've been in talks for a year or so now about buying Warner Brothers. And so the internet theory that is developed is that executives at Warner Brothers have decided that there is more financial gain for them personally scrapping movies that have already been made and writing them off as a business loss. And of course, no one involved gets paid unless their contract had them paid up front. The executives still get lofty bonuses if they're able to save the company $30 million, and their bonus contract says they get a percentage of every $1 million saved. You could be looking at some executives who are setting themselves up for multi-million-dollar bonuses while not making the company any money because they believe somebody's going to buy it soon. And then that person can just release the movie if they want to and make their money. But right now, it might be more lucrative for these individual executives personally to not release movies and to take a loss, claim a huge tax write-off, and then pocket a percentage of that tax write-off because it falls under the save the company money category, which oftentimes executive contracts, they get bonuses for. It's a sound theory. One thing to point out, there is no solid evidence of this theory other than it makes so little sense that Warner Brothers would scrap at this time when he's at his height a James Gunn penned movie. James Gunn movies, the last one being Guardians of the Galaxy 3, have a tendency to make a lot of money. So it's one of two things. Either this movie was an absolute piece of trash, which, like the fans arguing about this online the last 2 days, I would say is probably unlikely with James Gunn involved, or the internet theory has some legs to it, that Warner Brothers is scrapping movies for no reason because executives have contracts that say if you save the company some money, you get a huge bonus. And being able to write a movie off as a loss with a potential $30 million tax break for that loss, and then your contract as an executive says if you save the company $30 million, you get $10 million. You could see how some executives might be thinking, especially if Apple around the corner is going to buy Warner Brothers. You could see how some executives might be thinking, well, there's more money in it for me if the movie doesn't come out. What do you think? 753-5868. We'll get Andy's take on this right after this.
Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
This is Robin Goody, Nursing Director at Legacy House of Logan. Legacy House is thrilled to team up with the Little Lambs Foundation to help Cache Valley families in need with babies. If you can, anytime in November, drop off essential baby items. Really anything a baby might need. Gift cards and cash donations are also appreciated. Please drop off your donations at Legacy House of Logan during the month of November. With your generous contributions, Little Lambs has been able to touch the lives of countless young ones. For more information, please call Legacy House of Logan. Thank you.
At the Sports Academy, we are grateful for our team, instructors, and certified trainers who provide the best group classes and are committed to your results. We are grateful to be able to provide the largest selection of brand new cardio and strength equipment. Most of all, we are grateful for the good health that we all enjoy. Join us in giving thanks this month. Donate a non-perishable food item and sign up for just $25. Let's all give thanks for our good health and enjoy life at the Sports Academy. Your club, your results, your life.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show with Andy Morgan joining us here in the studio. And
welcome.
Andy, I don't know how much, as you made your way here, I don't know how much of my setup you heard, but do you have... I've been following this for 2 days because I'm not convinced that the fans who believe Warner Brothers executives are intentionally scrapping movies just to make themselves more money.
Yeah.
Because they get a cut of any money they save the company. And if they can write a movie off as a loss, normally you wouldn't do this because if the company doesn't make money, you're going to get fired as an executive. But if somebody's going to buy you in January of 2024, well, you could just scrap some movies right now, call it a business loss, get a cut of that as part of your bonus contract as an executive of the company, and then it's Apple's problem. And they can just release the movie and make the money back. You could see the possibility of this internet theory being true.
Yeah.
And because it does seem unlikely they would scrap a James Gunn movie right now.
Well, I think you have two things.
He wrote it, right? Yeah, he wrote it.
I think there's two things. I think one, you have that's entirely possible. In today's strike age, and every little dollar is scrutinized. I mean,
did you see that the studios wanted, as part of the agreement, they wanted complete ownership of their artificial intelligence image?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You thought they'd say yes? You thought actors would say yes?
I think this is, I don't even think this is a Hollywood thing, and I'm not going to go down this route because we could really go somewhere with this, but I think this is this is indicative of companies right now just as a larger, as a whole. I mean, I think I saw a stat earlier this week that I don't know what oil company it was, but they were talking about record profits, right, since 2020. Yeah. And here's the thing. I know the movie industry has been affected. I know it has.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we know, 2019 was a great year, but we had a lot of things come to close. 2020 probably would have been a good year, right? But then COVID.
Which year was Maverick? Maverick was 2022.
That was 2022, yeah.
Okay, and that was the first real big
it's been trending
blockbuster.
Up. And this year it will probably get back to close to normal of kind of where they are, right?
There's been some big movies this year.
But there's been some miscalculations on Hollywood's part. And this actually bleeds nice into our conversation we're going to have about the Marvels.
The Marvels.
I
told everybody you have good news for them.
Well, here's what happens is generally when it's a movie that, everything now with how much they're sort of throwing at it, because it's this like content. There has to be something in front of someone all the time. The budgets have ballooned too much. And so now instead of having a movie that maybe only makes $180 million, right? And you go, okay, it's not like a box office chart topper, but it's successful.
Yeah.
Now when you have every movie has a budget of $200 million, now everything has to be a home run.
Yeah.
And so and I do think there are things happening right now. For example, it could have been timing. I mean, November 10th is not, I wouldn't call it like a hot movie release.
Not
weekend,
a great release date, yeah.
And the Marvels.
But wouldn't that have been like, they could have avoided that.
Well, they could have released it in the summer. They could have released it in early spring. There's a lot of different places they could have put it that maybe I think would have done better box office wise.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody said, well, November's kind of holiday season. Not really. Usually Thanksgiving weekend is when we start talking about holiday movies. But here's what I would say is I think there's a couple factors. One is I do think there is some poor marketing, and I think there's some poor placement by the studio. But I also would say that superhero fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah,
and I'll honestly kind of point, and Marvel and Disney is to blame for their own predicament, because when you bludgeon people with something that's like, there's always something, from the minute, because there was stuff that led up to Endgame. But let's be honest, I think what's really contributed to this is not that so much the number of movies that have been coming out, right? Because the cadence usually was like at most you had maybe 2 or 3, but generally just 2 movies per year, right?
Yeah.
I think Marvel realizes that, but I think what happened is after COVID, or coming out of Endgame and heading, and during COVID, it was Disney's thing was, we need subscribers to Disney Plus, so there needs to be something always happening. And I think people
I think is how we
it's
got
overwhelming.
I think it's how we got that Falcon and the Snowman.
Yeah, there's that. I mean,
which it will always be called that.
Let's be honest.
So wait, you're saying that you think there's an explanation for Warner Brothers' behavior here.
Well, let me trend back to that. So,
because that's what keeps me leaning towards the conspiracy theorist, because I'm thinking,
no, I don't think
doesn't make sense.
No, there's not an explanation. The explanation would be I agree with you. I do think that there's probably a multi-component thing here. One is, yes, people will get a kickback, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that there are discussions that happen. Like, people always talk about, think about this for a second.
Wouldn't you be mad, though, as a writer?
Not
or
necessarily. You could feign madness, right? But if you tell somebody we're shelving this, and then you hear all these underground whispers of, well, it was pretty good, and I heard there was these cool things, and oh, look, this got leaked. I wondered about that too. Is this a PR? Because someone leaked a crew video today. Yeah. And that was the first time I thought, oh, is this all a PR stunt? Yeah. And then what ends up happening, right, is then it comes out. Because fans are demanding that it be released through the Library of Congress. Because they're saying since they got a tax break for not releasing it, then it's public domain. And I wanted to say, I don't think that's how it works. Calm down, nerds. Anyway. Also, why is that stormtrooper black? Yeah, I like I said, it wouldn't surprise me, but who knows? I mean, movies cost a lot, and if is it better? And in DC's point, is it better to shelve something and avoid getting just taken to the cleaners again? In terms, not which they did, not right? Money wise. Which one did they kill? Batgirl. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah. Opinion wise, like, do you really want your name being dragged through the mud again? I don't know. I know when Batgirl was shelved, nobody that was in the movie said, "Oh no," yeah, and that made me think, "Oh, they've seen it, and they're okay with it." Never. Ever I saw the costumes, so I was like, maybe they're right. That was my first one. Maybe they're right. Yeah, some bad planning happened somewhere on that set. The Marvels, the For the People Movie Show official review of the latest Marvel movie from Andy Morgan is coming up right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Chad Daybell wants the death penalty to be removed. According to new court documents, Daybell is charged with murder in the death of his first wife, Tammy Daybell. He's also charged in the deaths of his wife, Lori Vallow Daybell's children. The bodies of 7-year-old J.J. Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan were discovered on his property in eastern Idaho. He has pleaded not guilty. Judge Stephen Boyce severed Chad and Lori's trials after Chad waived his right to a speedy trial. Judge Boyce then took the death penalty off the table for Lori. She was convicted of all charges and sentenced to life without parole. John Pryor, Daybell's attorney, filed several motions on Thursday, and one of the motions to strike the death penalty. Pryor argues it's unfair that Chad still faces the death penalty while Lori did not. Chad's trial trial is scheduled to begin in April of next year. President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has reported that he is slowly returning to work in person, thanking those who have prayed for his recovery after an early September fall resulting in injuries to the muscles in his back. The 99-year-old has been virtually participating in First Presidency meetings and General Conference last month. Nelson said that throughout the last 2 months, he has been able to attend most meetings of the First Presidency virtually, adding that he is slowly returning to his office on selected days while continuing to use technology as needed. In Friday's update, President Nelson noted that the work of the church continues to move on. He specifically cited the creation of 36 new missions in 2024. KVNU weather brought to you by Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified orthopedic surgeon experienced in successful surgeries for sports medicine and arthritis. For arthritis, Dr. Nelson offers the Omnibotic knee replacement system that has a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's drkeithnelsonortho.com. Becoming mostly clear tonight and overnight, low in the mid-20s, and then sunny into the low 50s tomorrow, upper 50s on Sunday. Today's high was 47. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Have you pulled your winter quilts and blankets out of storage? Do they smell stale and look flat? And is your hunting gear, sleeping bags, and coats dingy as well? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It'll take no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, the biggest around, and it costs a whole lot less than dry cleaning, with free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. They're on the corner of 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City at 1st East and 7th South.
If you've been missing favorite TV shows because of the TV and movie actors' strike, the union SAG-AFTRA announcing a tentative deal with the producers and studios. Union exec Duncan Crabtree Ireland.
The union's national board voted to approve by 86% vote the tentative agreement that the negotiating committee reached with the AMPTP on Wednesday.
After Wall Street indexes posted gains for the day and for the week, Moody's Investors Service changing the outlook of the U.S. debt to negative. An analyst says it's a warning to reduce both debt and the indecision over preventing a government shutdown a week from now. Air attacks leading thousands of Palestinians sheltering from the Israel-Hamas war. Gaza City's main hospital to head south. In Gaza, Dr. Tom Potogers, visiting chief surgeon.
I've been to Gaza many times in the past, and I have, it is never... This is far, far worse. It's a completely different stratosphere.
News with the Red Cross. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Hi, it's Chris from Levens. People ask us all year long, when is your big sale? It's the 11th day of the 11th month. 11/11 at Levens. Men's ties 5 for $25. Solid ties $2. Suits $160 and up. Socks $4. All men's and women's clothing is on sale up to 50% off. Everything is on sale. See you in downtown Logan, Levens, 69 North Main.
More style for less at Levens. Levens, where men and women look their best.
Hey golfers, Black Friday at Birch Creek starts Monday, November 13th. Punch passes, $150. All remaining golf shoes and shirts, half off. All remaining golf hats, $15. A limited number of $150 punch passes will be sold. Black Friday at Birch Creek runs Monday, November 13th through Wednesday, November 22nd. That's Birch Creek Golf Course in Smithfield.
How often should you change the filter on your furnace? A lot of people are surprised when they find out that most filters are only good for 60 to 90 days. Some cheaper filters won't even last that long. If you buy a good quality filter, you should still have it checked or replaced every year. Doing this will make sure your furnace runs more efficiently and keep the air that you breathe cleaner. For a free consultation, call the Duct Hunter, 770-4813.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show. I warned you or announced to you gloriously in hour one that Andy had good news for you today if you're a Marvel fan. I just say this is all I have to say about the Marvels, Andy, because I haven't seen it yet. I've been such a fan of the Marvel movies since that very first Iron Man in 2008 that the trailer for the Marvels caused me a lot of anxiety because I thought, well, we're done. This was a fun era, great movies, but we're done until someone reboots it 10 years from now and tries again. And I was really disappointed by that because I felt like they hadn't maxed out their resources yet, character wise and storyline wise. And so I was really disappointed when I saw the first trailer. I thought, well, Marvel's toast.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed Captain Marvel immensely.
The first one. I liked it a lot.
I thought it was great.
And I was willing to give this one. I was going to, obviously, despite what I know you have to say today, which is positive, I was going to see this one anyway because I remember when Captain Marvel came out, I kind of felt the same way about the trailer for that one.
Sure.
I was underwhelmed. I wasn't super excited for Captain Marvel. I went because you got to follow the story once you're invested that long. But that ended up being one of my favorites of that, those latter years of the Avengers.
Yeah, I think... I don't know what it was about the trailer that I think the trailer kind of summed up kind of how I've felt about Marvel just in general coming out of Endgame in 2019. I feel like they're just kind of all over the place a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
it was hard to decipher what really was happening in the trailer.
Yeah. And this goes back to what we talked about just before the break. Is that there's so much content that you kind of. It's like they're just throwing it against the wall, and I there's been ones I've liked. I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. I thought the Eternals was a pretty movie to look at, but that's still something where we're like, well, what was that all about? You know what I mean?
I remember liking the Eternals when I saw it, but then I have to note this: I've never watched it again.
Same.
I've never wanted to.
Same.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but I've never.
Same.
But I'm the same way with
It's like a film festival superhero movie.
Yeah,
which is okay.
It is okay,
but it just does no. People we're used to things having tie-ins now. We're not used to standalone superhero movies.
I maybe should go back and watch the Eternals again because I'd also just started catching up on The Boys on Amazon,
and it felt like
and I wonder sometimes if my brain
had a hard time switching.
Because The Boys is so funny and so edgy sometimes, and then these guys were kind of boring.
Yeah, super serious. No, but then there's been some real in my mind. There's been some flops. I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was not Marvel's finest. It's not terrible, but it's not something that you're like, wow, I really enjoyed that. It was okay.
What was the Doctor Strange?
Yeah, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was a face plant.
Still have not finished it.
No, not
I've
great.
Tried.
Not great.
I've made 3 attempts to get through that movie.
Yeah, it's not great. So obviously, Spider-Man with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back was knocked that out of the park.
Yeah, I like those.
It's kind of hard not to on that one.
I do think they shouldn't do a 4th though.
I mean,
I feel like the 4th is when they're going to have their first one too many.
Well, I think
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it just depends on how it all ties in because we know what happened, obviously, right at the end. Like everyone forgot that he's Spider-Man. So anyway, but then I also thought Black Widow. I thought Black Widow was enjoyable.
I really liked Black Widow.
The problem with Black Widow is it's just again crappy timing. Like, why are you releasing a movie about a superhero that died in Endgame?
Yeah, that should have come out before.
100%.
Yeah,
should have came out
because
before.
that was a good movie.
Yes, I agree.
Although it was weird because it was just an action movie. It wasn't really a spandex superhero movie.
No,
but it was so good, and it was. Some of the Disney Plus. I'm a defender of Loki.
I think Loki's great.
I've actually liked the Loki series.
I thought Moon Knight was actually
decent.
Was amazing. I thought She-Hulk was awesome.
Very funny.
So there's hit, and I thought
And the latest one-
WandaVision I actually thought was pretty good.
I did like WandaVision. I liked it a lot at first.
Falcon and the Snowman was not my
Falcon
cup
and the
of tea.
Snowman was
I actually
so disappointing.
Coming into this, I actually hadn't seen Miss Marvel. I'm also forgetting Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I just feel like that is on its own level. Like it almost feels. I almost think I've
It's
separated
tied
it
in,
now
but
because
it's
it's
not.
James Gunn and he's at DC.
Yeah. But it's sort of Guardians of the Galaxy always was that too. It was always its own thing.
Yeah, it really wasn't tied into anything Marvel related until they showed up in Endgame and
basically they tied him
Infinity
into
War.
Marvel because they had to save Thor.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
that was really
and
how
there's
they got tied
actually,
in. They had to save
That's
him.
a great comment too. Thor: Love and Thunder. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that was
just felt miss. So this is what I'm trying to say.
I think best bad guy ever in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Christian Bale. He's
that
pretty
was
good.
so good, and a sympathetic bad guy in a Marvel movie
That's
was
true.
just kind of, but yeah, I felt like it couldn't decide whether it wanted to be one of the earlier serious Thor movies or the funny Ragnarok Thor. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can do both in one movie.
And I'll go back. This is. I'm going to repeat what I've said a couple times throughout this show. Marvel is just kind of all over the place. They're just. I feel like they've been meandering for the better part of 4 years now, and so.
Which is weird because, like Thor, for example, Love and Thunder, that they learned with Ragnarok, Thor works as a comedic hero or in a comedic vehicle for a serious, because he's actually not funny, and that's kind of the funny part,
right?
And they should have just done that again with Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder, like,
I just think we've said this before. People don't know. They're like, where are we going with this? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that-
and
that-
so
I
they
guess
bring
that
in
was the point I was trying to
they
make,
bring
is
in
like-
Kang. They bring in, you know, and they're like, hey, this guy, you know, and we got the multiverse, and we're, you know, look at all the different, woo, you know, and people are just like, I don't, okay, and so here's what I would say is, the Marvels is the best Marvel movie, really truly up there with Shang-Chi, because I would say my top 3 coming out of Endgame are Shang-Chi, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then this. And I can't. I'm telling you right now, when I walked out of the screening, I was like, wait a minute, and
Really?
and about midway through the movie too, I thought, what am I watching? Like, here's what I'd say. There are some, like, constant Marvel things in it. Like, it's kind of got a toss-away villain, right?
Oh.
Like, the villain...
So did Captain Marvel, though, remember?
Yeah, it did.
Here's a villain, but you're not going to care they're not in any other movies.
I thought the thing in the trailer where they kept, like, you got the idea that they were switching powers, right? Because of something. I thought that was a little weird. But that actually plays out actually quite funny. And is a little easier to follow than it is in the trailer. The supporting cast is great. There's enough mix of humor and emotion, and it honestly, it plays out pretty good. I don't know what its point or place is in the whole, you know, sort of encyclopedia of Marvel movies in terms of, like, where we're going. There are some things that happen at the end, and I would say there is one end credit scene. It's one of the early end credit scenes. I don't believe there's one
midway through the
there's
credits.
not one at the very, very, very end of the movie.
Okay.
But when it kind of goes to, like, most of the cast and the director, there's a mid credit scene. I would say stay for that, because I think it gives, like, so Marvel's been tagging their new advertisements with this movie as this changes everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that based on what I saw at the end of that, in the mid-credit scene, that there are some exciting things in Marvel's horizon.
So you feel like they do have a plan? After seeing this.
I would say I think they have part of a plan.
Okay.
I think there's a couple things. I think that they're a little frustrated with this Jonathan Majors thing, because I think they want to have this Kang be a villain, but they also... And here's my problem. As I started watching Loki, if you've seen Loki, you know at the end that they meet Kang, and Loki is terrified of him, right?
And they don't explain why.
Yeah, and then you kind of get this in season 2, and then in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Kang's in that movie. And I'll be honest with you, throughout that whole movie, I thought, man, Kang is terrifying. And then the very end, in one of the end credit scenes, when there's like a billion Kangs like sitting in an arena, I was like, Kang is stupid.
Yeah, that was when the Jonathan Major stuff came up. Not that his ordeal isn't serious. I'm not trying to say that.
Sure,
but I wasn't disappointed that might extract him from the.
Yeah, so they're not quite sure. The thing about Thanos is that Thanos was the big bad. Like, you could have several medium bads, leading up to that, right? And I've heard rumors that they're going to bring in Doctor Doom, which also ties in because we know there's a Fantastic Four movie coming. Yeah. But I'm like, Doctor Doom is just...
I still want to see somebody do right.
One dude, right? Like, he's not what I would call a big bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how this all plays out, to be honest with you. I think superhero movies, Marvel's kind of a victim of its own success because they made this interconnected universe that was all leading up to this grand finale, and now they're like, well, now what do we do?
This is interesting, and maybe you can, having seen it, interpret what this critic means. But one critic here is saying, despite everything that's come since Endgame, that deserved all the attention that it got, from writing to directing to special effects. This is the Marvels is the first actual sequel to the Avengers story.
Yeah, I think that's
an interesting quote.
But see, here's the problem too, Jason, is this movie cost, right, $270 million to make. So the problem is if the movie only makes if it only hits that and breaks even, right? It ends up becoming. I'm hoping, truthfully, that word of mouth kind of passes this by. But I think there's just two things that are affecting this right now. I think, again, superhero fatigue is real.
Yeah.
And I also think that just people in general right now, like, folks aren't like just flocking to the movies for sequels.
Yeah.
It's just not which is, again, example,
I think that's
Top Gun,
what Barbie taught everybody.
Oppenheimer. I mean, people want
Barbie was unique, and it seemed really fresh.
Well, what was the stat that we were pulling out of that there was a percentage of viewers that was their first movie back to the theaters since COVID?
I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was huge.
It was huge.
It was shocking.
Massive.
The reason it was shocking is I twofold. I was shocked there were that many people that hadn't been to a movie since 2020. That surprised me. And then I was also shocked that was the movie they came out for.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen it yet when I saw that stat. And I thought, Barbie, I'm not anti-Barbie movies. I just thought every summer you get these these comedy films with some big actors in them that are throwaway. They're fun, but they're throwaway.
Right.
And I did not expect this to be like a cultural phenomena trigger that's obviously going to get a sequel or two at this point. And Ryan Gosling, I think, contributes a lot to that because I'm Beach.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
I would actually honestly hope beyond hope that there is not a sequel to Barbie. Like, some movies just need to be left alone, and
it would be great to see that as a standalone.
And I've heard too that there's going to be a sequel to Oppenheimer, so I kind of hope that. I'm just joking, by the way. Oppenheimer 2.
I would like to see
Oppie's return.
I want to see a sequel to Oppenheimer that is the same time and timeline, but it's everyone else's point of view.
Oh, like
and you have the one guy,
when Clint Eastwood did.
He was a huge jerk.
Yeah, when Clint Eastwood did Flags of Our Fathers, and then he had what was the Sands of Iwo? No, it was
like
there was Flags of Our Father, and then there was someone
else's perspective.
It was the same story but told from the Japanese perspective.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of that, but that was actually when I thought, what, Clint Eastwood should keep making movies.
I think it was actually called "Did You See That Flag on the Hill?"
Hey, what's that? It was called.
No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah, Letters from Iwo Jima. That's what which was a great book. The book was better than the movie, but
that was an interesting shift.
No offense to
go
Ryan
see.
Philippe.
Honestly, go see the Marvels. It's family friendly.
What was your grade?
I give it B+.
B+, okay.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, and I could probably even go a little bit higher, I will say this. This is probably the first one I've wanted to see again outside of Guardians 3 and Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi was the last one I saw twice.
It's fun. It was a fun movie. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was back to his fun Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't seen Miss Marvel, so I don't feel like I needed to see that to know what was going on. I just was like, oh, she has powers and she's from Jersey.
Yeah.
Right. And so but you know what's interesting is it actually made me want to go watch it now. And I'm not, just FYI, I don't have any, like, I'm not like, oh, dumb lady superheroes. It's not that.
No.
I just truly, there is so much that I just, on streaming, there's just things I have not seen.
It does make you kind of selective.
I tried to watch the Hawkeye stuff, and I lost interest after 3 episodes. So the good news is that this fatigue is gonna settle down a little bit. I don't know what Marvel has on the slate for streaming, but I do know that as we creep into 2024, that there really is only one Marvel movie slated for 2024, and that is Deadpool 3.
Really?
Yep.
That's
so.
Still funny to scroll through Disney Plus. You know, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and
when are we going to get a remake
the
of
Mickey
that?
Mouse Club and Deadpool.
I need a remake.
It stands out. If you've seen the movies, it stands out so much.
I need a remake.
Seeing it alongside Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah, I want someone else to sing "Bobbing Along" the beautiful briny sea.
I rewatched that when Disney.
You know what
Plus
else I need? I need
out.
a remake. Disney. I hope you're listening to this right now. I need a remake of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I need that updated for 2024, and I also need a remake of Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I want a remake of the Shaggy Dog. And
did they do that with Tim Allen?
And oh yeah, they did. Okay, I want a better remake of the Shaggy Dog and whatever the one with the cat that goes to space.
You don't want the dog to be like never mind.
I want to see someone actually make a PG-13 or even R-rated version of Watcher in the Woods, because that horrified me as a kid. And
every kid that grew up in the 80s knows the Watcher in the Woods.
Scared me as a kid, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's Disney." I don't care.
I need you to acknowledge Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I will.
Have you ever seen it?
I've seen it.
Has singing Sean Connery.
It does.
That'll ruin.
And he ain't bad.
Watch that and then watch The Rock and see if you have the same vibes.
Do you know what you're getting instead of these sequels? Announcements today. Well, actually, I'll save this for the other side of the break. But there are a couple of sequel announcements you might enjoy. The movie show continues right after this.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
Before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety, some depression. I had been to multiple doctors. I'd been to specialists. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
I'm on anxiety medicine. I've lowered my dose, and I'm working with my doctor to continue to lower it. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively, and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show. B+ for The Marvels from Andy, which is more than I expected, and I'm so excited to hear that. Meaning Marvel still has a future out
you
there.
Like it. If you don't, I'm going
to see it this weekend, and you mentioned some sequels you wanted, and I just happened to catch these. First, I used to be a huge fan of these. I haven't been for years, and this is not the U.S. Reboot of Godzilla that got ruined by that sequel with that horrible actor.
-1 is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, this is actually
great.
The Toho Studios' latest, the original studio that invented Godzilla.
Yeah.
They have made a new one called Godzilla -1, and this movie looks amazing.
My favorite is the trailers, too, because it's all in Japanese, and then at the end it goes, Godzilla.
Yeah.
-1.
-1. It's like, for some reason, the title is
so
in English.
cool.
but it looks like the coolest movie.
Yeah. And, Gareth Edwards, who directed the 2014 Godzilla, actually said this is what a Godzilla movie should be.
I'm excited about this.
And I was like, Gareth?
Comes out December 1st.
Gareth!
And it is getting a U.S. release, but I'm assuming that will be limited.
I don't know. I haven't heard much about how it's going to be released, but I have heard that, people like it. I will say, good. We do have this is actually going to be kind of a big November.
We have to tell everybody just quickly. Season 2 of Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus is out. If you are even remotely, you don't even have to be a Disney fan. If you like amusement park rides, if you like the first episode is behind the scenes at Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland Anaheim.
Yeah,
and they show you technically how things are done and why those waterfalls are there. And anyway, those waterfalls are there for a practical reason. They didn't actually plan that.
Yep.
Anyway, it's the most fascinating show. And season 2 launched this week on Disney Plus. So
hey, just to give everyone a little bit of the lay of the land in the upcoming weeks, there are 3 rather fairly sizable, or actually 3 or 4 rather sizable movies coming out next week.
Oh, really?
In advance of Thanksgiving. One is The Hunger Games, the Ballad of something or other, Ballad of Billy Snow.
This is, for some reason, 84 years before Hunger Games. That's what
we
the
know
trailer
the
actually says that.
It's
I'm
actually
like, hey, spoiler.
It's the sound of a cash register. Cha-ching, cha-ching. There's a story to be had here. And so if you wondered where President Snow from the original Hunger Game book, movies and books, where he came from, this is your show. You also have Trolls Band Together, which is just 3 words. There's no
Trolls Band Together?
Not Trolls, Band Together. Just Trolls Band Together.
I might see that one. The first one made me laugh.
I think this is the 3rd one now, Jason, just so we're clear.
Oh, wow. I'm behind. Maybe I won't see it. Apparently I didn't see the second one.
We've also got Taika Waititi's next movie, Next Goal Wins. That's next weekend.
Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving, which is in kind of a killer show.
Yeah.
So lots coming. We still have Napoleon that'll be out around Thanksgiving. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of movies coming out
Napoleon
this month.
looks interesting too. Very cool. So we've got, there you have a kind of a busy calendar for next Friday's show as well. Go see the Marvels. B+ from Andy. I'm really excited about that. It means Marvel, they might pull it back together after all. So there you have it. We'll be back next Friday with more of the movie show.